Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around. We're going to be talking about a few things in the world of email marketing. So today's agenda, I'm going to be talking about 3 things to power your email marketing efforts into the next decade. The simplest test, my gift to you, and finally, I'm going to be talking about a funny font. So, is this working? Nope. Nope. All right, we'll talk about this because it actually ties into my presentation. Who knows what this is? People recognize us in the room? Show of hands. Snow, right? TV Snow, right? If you're young, you probably don't remember this. But as a child, I grew up in the 1980s, and before we had HD TV and stuff, this is what our TVs would look like when you didn't have a reception, and it was pretty annoying. And we've come a long way since then, and I want to actually talk about where we're going and stuff in terms of revolutions and stuff, and then I'm going to tie this into email marketing. So the first thing is, let's talk about the television revolution. So it was invented in 1927, and in 2003 we have our first HD TVs and stuff, right? Back in those days, I'm not talking about 1927, I'm talking about like when I was a kid and stuff, like the TV, it actually curved, but that was like a design bug. Nowadays, it's a feature that it curves and stuff, and it's really come a long way. If any of you are courageous out there, you should Google like side-by-side images of HD versus analog TV and stuff. It's, test it out, but you're warned, okay? So you might not like what you see. But nowadays, TVs, they have a curve feature, and the color is phenomenal, and they come with internet browsers and stuff. And speaking of the internet, let's talk about the internet revolution. So officially it was launched in 1983, but I was only 5 years old back then. But I do remember the internet like around 20 years ago, and thanks to the Wayback Machine, you can go and you could get screenshots of what websites looked back then and how they look now. So I just have one of my favorite websites up, ESPN.com, and you can see up here from 1999 to 2019, 20 years difference, makes a world of a difference, as they say. And really, back then, the internet was, kind of like a reactive type of mode of communication, almost like a newspaper. It was just, you went there and you got yesterday's scores. You got yesterday's news and stuff. Nowadays, not only do you get news that happen right now, there's social media, obviously. There's Amazon. Who got an Amazon package? Did anyone here get Amazon delivered to their home yesterday or last week? I got my first package delivered yesterday and another one today. I hope no one stole it from the front door, but that's something else. But it's just such an amazing communication tool. And obviously, when we're talking about communication, it all starts with the phone, right? Invented in the 19th century, it didn't even have a screen, right? And nobody even foresaw a screen for many, many years. 2007, the first iPhone came out, and again, we almost forget what phones are for. Smartphones were invented for to actually call someone. I have not made a single phone call today, but I've been on my smartphone almost the whole day. So what's going on with email? Where's email going? So let's look into the crystal ball and try to look. So we know, Gmail came out with AMP script and stuff, which allows you to make your emails very active and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of technology moving email forward, right? And email is here to stay. It generates a lot of money, $38 according to HubSpot. So it's here to stay. And so you need a plan, right? And I like to say email marketing is like doing a puzzle. If you don't have a plan, the pieces will never come together. It's a great quote, the money quote. You should take a picture of that. So we need to be doing it right. So where are we supposed to be going with this, right? Are we supposed to be making things, moving forward with technology, or are we supposed to just keeping things simple? So in sales, they say ABC, always be closing, right? In marketing, I like to say always be testing. So here are 3 tests that I've used, done recently, and I'd like to just share my results with you. So the first is the simplest test, like I said. The next thing we're going to talk about is my gift to you. And finally, I'm going to be talking about the funny font. So let's get started. So the simplest test, this test yielded a 29% result for me in terms of conversion, in terms of getting people to click through my emails. And basically what I talk about the simplest test, I talk about creating that human touch. If you have a brand that has a very strong, relatable character, right? Don't hide behind that brand. Actually use that brand to accentuate and to actually push your unique selling points forward. So there's a brand coach, life coach in the US, Marie Forleo. She just came out with this New York Times best-selling book called Everything is Figure-Outable, and she does this amazingly, okay? I'm on her email list. Don't ask me why. It's for we could talk about it afterwards. But I'm on her list, and she sends these emails out, and she talks to you like like she's your best friend, like she's your mother, and it's very, very effective. Just to give you an example of another type of email which kind of uses a template. So this is like from a company called Oh Joy, and here they're just using a template, and you could see like everything's above the fold. And if you were looking on this on mobile as well, it would also kind of have that similar type of effect. So when you have a simple test, right, when you're using simple templates and just writing to the person, it's authentic. So it really creates that personal vibe, right? And when you're creating that personal vibe and speaking right to the user, you can engage with them, okay? And when you're engaging, and you don't have to hide behind a template, but rather you could jump right into the storytelling, that's what you do. You become an excellent storyteller. And this sort of test achieved a 29% increase in terms of click-through to open rates, from 19.5% to 25.5%. So that's going from 1 in 5 people clicking to 1 in 4 people clicking. And if you're getting more people clicking to your website, your funnel can only get better. The next thing I want to talk about is my gift to you. If you notice, the letters GIF is underlined. That's because I'm talking about how to convey videos in email, okay? Because if you're having a simple template in your email, you could actually also throw in GIFs in your email, and it's an excellent communication tool. But how do you actually convey this properly? So here's just a little video here. One thing that I like about this video here is the movement, the camera's panning, the doctor's typing, she's looking at the prescription, right? So here are just a few techniques and a few ideas that I've used to convey this in an email. So the first thing is giving a sense of movement, okay? So obviously people have been using JPEGs in emails for a while, but when you actually take a GIF and you actually give this little subtle movement, right? Nothing too flashy. You don't want to give anyone a headache when they're looking at your email, right? But if you just give it that little movement, it really brings it to life. Now, the nice thing about this is also you don't need it for a landing page that has a video on it. I actually used this for a customer earlier in the week where I just had like a piece of bread and it was just kind of like floating, just to bring it out and bring it to life, okay? The next thing that you could do is to catch their attention, obviously a play button overlay. But instead of just going down the traditional JPEG route, so what you could do is you could have a GIF with a play button pulsing back and forth, back and forth. Depending on your brand as well, you could have a colorful GIF, so you could have red, white, and blue, type of just, coming like right out there and stuff. And if you notice, I keep the background image here static because I don't want things to compete with each other. You don't want to have too many different moving parts. But if you actually want to actually go for something cute, you could have the typing forever effect, where you take a very, very small segment from your video and you just have it going, and it just kind of loops back over and over and over again. It creates this effect. And no matter what industry you're in, I'm sure you could think of 1,000,001 different examples of how you could actually do this. If you were in sports, you could have someone bouncing a basketball forever, and just as an example. And finally, I said before, just in terms of making a scene. So I said how I really like the movement of how the camera's panning. And you can really give someone a nice understanding of what the video is going to be about if you give this sense of movement. So for this, I have it side by side with the static play button overlay here. And for the sense of movement, I kind of actually made the play button a little bit smaller because I don't want it to compete with the movement of the video. And then I've also given it a few seconds just so it refreshes in a logical sequence, so it doesn't go too fast. Because again, if it goes too fast, you're going to cause, you're going to give someone a headache. Is there a tool? There are animation tools and stuff. Yeah. So I use Animoto for actually editing my videos. And Giphy, yeah. Yeah. So this achieved, like on a free list that I actually use, I've actually done a lot of testing with this, and we actually, this one actually got a 40% increase. This went, I got the click-through to open rates from a little over 9% to over 13%. So again, cool GIFs makes it real. The last thing I want to talk about is the funny font, okay? So a word about Comic Sans. Comic Sans is one of the few typefaces with characters that are easy for dyslexics to decipher. I didn't say this. Actually, someone that I was at a conference recently, and they said this. So I'm sitting at the conference, and this person says this, and I think it's around 15 million people, adults in the US, are dyslexic, have some form of dyslexia. So that's like 5 to 15% of the population, so it stands to reason that people who have reading issues are on your emailing list. So again, so I tried, hey, let's try making an email with, using Comic Sans, okay? Unfortunately, not every test yields a winner. The results were pretty much the same. They were negligible. So again, what am I going to do about this? I might test it again because it might take time for people to realize that this is what's going on, and and people warm up to the idea. However, it might be a winner for you. So I think don't disqualify it. And like I said before, email marketing is like doing a puzzle, and I just want to tell a little anecdote about doing a puzzle very quickly. So my family and I were in Italy over the summer and went to a museum. We bought a puzzle. A 1,000-piece puzzle. Now, the interesting thing about a 1,000-piece puzzle is that it actually has 1,080 pieces in it. So I guess the marketers who market puzzles realize that it's more marketable to say a 1,000-piece puzzle over a 1,080-piece puzzle. But when you do the puzzle, it's like kind of you get a box with all these pieces, and the first thing you do is the perimeter. So you go around the side, and that's the easy thing. And after you do that, you start getting all the colors together, and you're pushing them into different piles and stuff, and trying to figure it out. The interesting thing, though, is after you do the easy part, right, it gets hard, right? But then once you get to past that stage where the puzzle pieces start coming together, where you get the field and the tree and the skies going together, you see where things are going, and you kind of get an intuition. So again, just a little recap, because we're short on time here, and we have some other amazing, great speakers coming up. A little recap. If you keep it simple, try testing things, okay? Try these tests, keep it simple. Use GIFs in your emails. Try increasing engagement, because that's the nature of the game. And finally, be bold. Try to test funny fonts. Try things which you would think that we say are out of the box. You do this, and I think you'll see excellent results in the coming year. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn. My handle is ShmuelH. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your suggestions and stuff, so please feel free to ask me questions or anything like that. And again, thank you very much for your time today.